Hey, so I wanted to kind of share a story about base hits versus home runs. So I was getting my hair cut the other day. The sides kind of cut down, the top a little bit longer than what I would have wanted or expected. But my hairstylist, she just chooses whatever she wants that day, and it's whatever. Uh, but yeah, so I was sitting there and she was talking about this like crypto stuff, and like she's been talking about it for a couple of like I think the last two times that I got my hair cut, and she's talking about like she was investing in this crypto thing, and if it hits, then you're never gonna see her at this salon or whatever again. And I was thinking in my mind, I was like, okay, so she's in her 60s, probably mid early to mid 60s, and she's been talking about wanting to retire for a while, but she just couldn't for whatever reason, right? I don't know if it's just that like her husband's still working, she's still working. I don't know the whole story. I didn't really ask that deep. Um, but I was like, okay, cool. So you're pretty close, to the end game, right? It's probably about you have like 1 million, $2 million, you should be good. And then that was the previous time. We get in today. She's like, yeah, it hasn't really moved very much. It was going really down. Then it went back up a little bit, but now it's like basically about the same. I was like, okay, so yeah, as soon as XYZ happens, then it's gonna shoot up, and then we're gonna be good. Okay, cool. I was like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So probably, I was like, yeah, okay. So yeah, so that's cool. So you're expecting to get like one, maybe $2 million out of it or whatever. Oh, $1 and $2 million is pocket change. Oh, and then she goes on and says, yeah, no, I'm expecting like 20 to 100 million. I was like, what? And we were talking and talking, talking. And then she was saying, like, when she was first investing in it, which was like probably less than a year ago, she said the first like $500 was very scary to kind of put in. Then since they put in like a sizable chunk, I was like, well, $500 is scary. Her sizable chunk might be like 10,000, 20, maybe like 25K. And that's assuming that they have that much money. Most people don't even have more than about like $7,000 in the bank at any given time, right? So at least in my mind, that math does not compute. Let's say you have $10,000. If you're expecting $10,000 to equal 20 to 100 million, you're gonna be very very disappointed, right? And it was just I didn't correct her, but it was just kind of like then she was talking about what she was gonna do with the money, right? I'll be able to buy a compound for my kids, my family. I'll set everyone up, and like I didn't say anything to her because I mean I'm not gonna crush someone's dream. It felt more of like this investment was, or this I don't really think it's investment, right? Usually for investment you're looking for a certain return. She's just looking for magic, right? It seemed like it was giving her energy to kind of go through her life, and like I don't ever want to take that away from somebody, but between you and me, yeah, that's very dangerous, right? You never want to look for a home run, right? Everyone who looks for home runs generally strikes out. You might get a home run every once in a while, but most people that are shooting only for home runs strike out. Now, the people that go for base hits are generally the ones that win the game. So there was a story in baseball. It was Oakland A's a number of years ago, I think back in the 90s. And they built this team of people that weren't the biggest hitters. They didn't hit the most home runs. They weren't the strongest. They weren't the best. But what they were really good at was on base percentage. And they calculated that the more they got on base, the more they would win because they would just score so many runs. And they actually did really, really well. So you had a bunch of people that no one really cared about, or people that everyone thought was like washed up, etc. And it was all about getting on base. And they won so many games. They had like a super, super, super long winning streak after being one of the worst teams in baseball the year before they implemented that new system. Okay. The reason why doing your life and doing business in terms of base hits is because it's very consistent. I can stack up base hits over and over and over again. While some people are kind of like hoping that things work out, I can use statistics to reverse engineer exactly how long it would take for me to be successful. So let's say, for example, I know that for me, for a bookkeeping client, it cost me about $350 to probably about $500 per client. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad at all, right? some businesses online to get clients, it costs them about $2,500. So not terrible, all things considered. Okay, so if I want to go and get 10 clients who pay me $500 per month, all I have to do is spend $3,500, right? Because that is my cost per client times 10. I want 10 clients, right? At $500 per month, that is $5,000 per month. Right now, okay, Bryce, that sounds amazing. How do I do that? Okay, well, you still have to have some skills involved there. You have to be able to make sure you know how to do the consultation call, know how to get them on the phone, know how to follow up, know how to give a price quote, know how to get someone to commit, know how to like send a good proposal. There's a lot of micro skills, and if you need help learning those skills, like we teach in our mentorship program, so just click the link, book the call, see if we can help you out. But that is really as simple as it becomes. So let's say that you want to go and get to 20K per month. You just have to multiply it by 4. So 3,500 times 4. 0,0002,4. That means all you should do is spend $14,000. And like, which I know $14,000 might sound like a lot of money. If you've never spent on ads, and like it is a lot of money if you've never spent on ads. So I'm not telling you to go spend on advertising. I'm just giving you an example of what business is actually like when you get the fundamentals down and you start focusing on base hits. So for $14,000, you can have about $20,000 per month minimum, right? 'Cause that's assuming that these clients are only worth $500 per month. What if you get a client for $2,000 a month or for $3,000 a month? You don't quite need as many. That's why I focus on like higher ticket clients, so you don't need quite as many. But worst case scenario, if you can only get clients for like $500 a month, this is the way that you do that. And then instead of investing with your money, right? So you're not advertising investing with your money, you're investing with your time, or investing with an automation who's giving the automation's giving its own time, right? So that's how you really find success. Because in our business, once you get to 20 grand per month, I'm in like this spare room where I have like a extra computer desk, etc., etc. And I have a pull-up bar, and my pull-up bar just fell. I don't know if you heard it, but I should really do some more work here because I technically have four places I do work in my house. So first one is that green office that you see. That's usually where I do like videos, or if I'm meeting like with a potential client. I have one in my basement that is has my best desktop and a pretty good monitor. Actually, I have a fifth one. There's one in the hallway out there where it's like I can overlook. I have this like glass that I can just like see out of, and it's just I can just like kind of look at the horizon and stuff. It's really cool room, so I like that. If I had to like do like some thought processes, I have one in my basement. Again, that's the one with the monitor. I use my kitchen table a lot. That's where I used to do like 90% of my work. Then I have this office, which I don't really use this office as much, because the Wi-Fi connection's kind of trash. So could get a Wi-Fi extender. I don't know, but I do really like doing work in this room. It's very calming. I don't know if it's the blues all around, but yeah, it's very, very calming. But yeah, I don't know. The more she was talking, the more it sounded kind of like an MLM. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing MLM if like you know that you're in an MLM, but if you don't and you think that you're gonna get rich, that's when it's a little bit dangerous. I don't know. It was like the first time that I dealt with the vulnerable population. Now, when I say the vulnerable population, I'm not saying like, like I'm not judging this person, but they always talk about there's a group of people on the planet that are just looking for a miracle. And, if that's you in this moment in time, I'm not, casting a judgment. I know I was probably at one point. Although for me, I wasn't really hoping for a miracle. I was more looking for a path that I could follow. Right? I kind of noticed that people who are like moderately successful, like I'm moderately successful, right? Mid six figures. Looking for a path where you can just have a business model that's very consistent, right? So where you can basically, because I'm not necessarily trying to get like a gajillion dollars a year. I'm not trying to make like $10 million a year. I'm trying to have, really my goal is about 600K net profit per year. right? That's really, and it doesn't really matter how long it takes. I mean, like right now, it's like with our bills, we have about 10x from bills to income. So it really depends on kind of the speed of growth, but that'd be kind of my ultimate goal, right around that number. Yeah, right around that number. But in order to get there, most people think that in order to save up, let's say your goal is not even just to make 600K a year. Let's say your goal is to make, or is to have $600,000 like in investable assets, right? So let's say for investable assets, we're just talking about like in a, let's say like a Schwab or Fidelity account that you have invested like in an ETF or whatever, right? Most people think in order to do that, like you have to win like the lottery, but really all you need to do is just pocket an extra $50,000 to $100,000 per year for 5 to 6 years. Once you have about 500 inside of your investment account, 500,000, if you just go and get a 10% return per year, which I say just, right? That's still a lot. It's about the average of the S&P 500 over the past like 30 years, right? So that's about 10%. That is $50,000 per year that you're making in pre-tax passive income, right? A lot of people can do a lot of money with 50K. Plus, if you got $500,000 in investable assets, you're probably not just going to stop at that, right? So on top of let's say that in order to do it, your revenue was about 200K, you probably netted 160. So if you do 160 plus 50,000, that means that you made about $210,000 that year. Every single year just keeps getting better and better and better and better, right? After about 10 years, you'll have about $1 million of investable. Well, probably not 10 years, probably about like 8 years of investable, to have $1 million of investable assets. And then again, when you have that 0.10 or 0.1, right? That's 10% returns per year. Now you're making $100,000 per year, right? I'm not quite at $1 million in investable assets. If you're a computer hacker out there, I have $0. Leave me alone. If you're a computer hacker, I am like the burgest person on the planet. But all jokes aside, yeah, all jokes aside, yeah, I think that's kind of, I don't know, probably a long term spot that I want to have. Because I mean, like, in order to save $1 million in assets, I mean, that means that you would have had to have an excess $1 million over your like bills and stuff. So it's like, you know, and that's assuming that you don't get distracted by buying like fancy stuff. Like, I was gonna buy a couple of nice watches this year. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. If your goal is to save an extra, $100,000, $200,000, right, in the bank, it's like, you gotta put your head down a little bit. Now, blessedly for me, it doesn't take me that long to save, an extra 100K, right? Um, Blessedly, really, really grateful for that. But still, it still takes a little bit of sacrifice, takes a little bit of time sacrifice, and it's just one of those things in this game, in this life, where the things that are the best and the things that are the most worth it oftentimes take a little bit of sacrifice, a little bit of time to think, and yeah. So all that to say is like, don't put yourself at super high risk for the return. Okay, make sure that you're trying to get like as close to a certain return when you invest something as possible, and a good rate of return. So let's say that like you're investing in advertising, whatever. If you always try and put $1 in, try and get at least $3 out. Okay, for most things that I do nowadays, like let's say I'm investing in a course, I'm always thinking if I put $1 in, can I at least get $5 out? So if a program is going to cost me, let's say the program cost me $5,000, right? So it's like a coaching program, and $5,000 for a coaching program is pretty, comparatively to what I've done. Like I spend like 25, 30K on courses. 5K is not that much, right? But if I'm gonna put $5,000 in, I need to get about $25,000 out every single time that I do a course like that, right? Now, some people, what they try and do is they try and get like 1,000,000% return out of it. And like if you're banking your life on like 1,000,000% return, it really does put you in some like pretty tough situations, because the only things that really promise returns that are like 500, 5,000 X returns are going to be stuff that's like scams, right? So It's really about protecting yourself and understanding, like, yes, I understand, like, maybe you want to be rich, maybe you want to be well off, maybe you're tired right now, you know what I mean? Like that's where I kind of see it the most, where most people are susceptible, is like when they're tired in their current situation in life. um I know you're tired. I know that, things are hard. I know that maybe you just want to be rich more than anything else, right? But it's better to be wealthy than be rich, if I'm being honest with you. The difference is the cash flow and the assets you're building. When people try and get rich, like they just want to have a bunch of cash, they want to like kind of get in one shot, and a lot of those people like win the lottery, they go broke, right? Because they don't have any of the underlying assets or strategies underneath it to build it. But when you have wealth, where it's like you have your bookkeeping or accounting business that's shooting money to you every single month, right? And then you have investments that are basically getting a 10x return, or sorry, 10% return per year. That's when you really have that long-term wealth and you have the security for your family. Okay, so hopefully this video kind of helps out and kind of like points you in a good direction. And again, I'm not a financial advisor or anything like that, so I'm not telling you how to invest. I'm just, trying to make sure that they stay safe out here, because a lot of predatory type things in this environment, especially when you go into like the economy's kind of in a recession mode. Not a huge recession, but it is kind of like in a recession. I don't know exactly how to describe it, because it's not everybody, but the people it is. It's kind of, yeah, kind of challenging. Um, but whenever there's a recession, people get desperate. Whenever there's desperation, then that's where the scammers kind of come out. So really protect yourself. Be careful, especially with all this AI stuff. So yeah, so hopefully you have a good rest of your day. Take it easy. Also, hey, if you want some help, if you want to start building some wealth, if you want to start building an asset that can keep paying you for the next 5, 10, 15 years, go ahead and click the link inside the description, either above or below the video, to book a call with myself, see if I can help you inside of a mentorship program. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Have a good rest of your day.